My research focuses on affordable housing with engineered timber and digital tools. And because of the pandemic, I started looking into the interiors of houses because we found out we need more flexibility inside houses, and timber is a great material for flexibility, but it also stores carbon, no? So it's really good to use timber. So I was thinking that an affordable way of using it is if we make use of robots or CNC machines to fold timber, then we can produce interior walls that can be movable and they don't need hinges or any other materials on it.
Our research group has been working with PLP for a number of years on wooden skyscrapers.
So now from building 300-meter tall wooden structures, we looked at a much more detailed kind of almost shelter type space.
All of it is focused on how the built environment can have a smaller footprint on the planet. We wanted to build something, find a way to exhibit it so the public, so we can help get our ideas out beyond Cambridge, beyond academia.
And they came up with this idea of doing something for Biennale, and they decided that kerfing was the way to go. Kerfing is, of course, a very old idea, so it was initially started for when you were making instruments and guitars and violins and the like. So we keep on understanding what people do in the past, and then we begin to reuse it in a different way and in a modern way. And of course, at PLP, we use a lot of 3D printing and model making and so on. So, the whole idea of using digital tools in order to create objects, that is what we're looking for, is really interesting.
The first step of this process was to identify some sort of like origami and folding and kerfing, these sort of physical principles, and then we needed to replicate these things on the 3D models so we can get an accurate 3-dimensional computer-based representation of it, so we can design the object before we get into the production and fabrication of it, because it's a bit hard to do continuous physical prototyping again and again, especially if you don't have the facilities present in-house.
One challenge that we posed on ourselves is that we wanted to create a folding pattern which would change in scale within a single sheet.
So we did a lot of testing until they broke to see what pattern worked better. Once we had the right pattern, we used CNC machines and scaled up the process. Once we built it, we sat down and we looked at what were the main things going wrong, no? And we changed all those and built a new one. And then we still had some issues, so we built a third one, which is the one that is now exhibited.
The use of digital technologies and natural construction materials is a field that has a lot of potential, and there are a lot of opportunities to improve the way we build nowadays and the way we use these technologies.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what else we can do. Other shapes, other materials, ways we can look at designing our built environment and creating new solutions in a novel way.
If you'd imagine a future which was more natural in cities, that would be an amazing thing. And then if you can start to grow materials in cities and outside of cities and build cities with it, then that whole mixture is quite potent, It's a little bit like science fiction. You can almost draw it and film it, but we don't quite know how to put it together. And this project actually is a way of trying to figure out how to start doing that.
We've been extracting materials for a long time, and those materials release CO2 to the atmosphere, and the construction sector accounts for almost the 40% of the CO2 emissions. whilst timber sequesters carbon.
Now that we understand that steel and concrete are actually really terrible for the environment, we have the opportunity to look at timber again and see what we can do with it and see how it would change the architectural expression of buildings. So it's the mix of this natural material and the digital technologies and the geometries and the cutting methods. If you combine those, you can invent a whole new way of looking at making buildings. It's wonderful.
I think live with nature is the future. As a Japanese, live with nature is very, very close to us. And so this idea is coming into like a more life-centric idea of a tendency of human and the environment together, live together and grow together. It is next century we should challenge, and we are very happy to contribute.
Yeah.